Oh, hey, Becky.
Hey Tom, how's it going?
Good. Welcome, everyone, to the Chronicles. The search continues. I believe this is episode 4. The first thing best. If I know, I'm going to start losing track very soon. But I am honored to be joined by guest number 4, which essentially is the first guest that I can consider not a practice round. That is one Becky Baggett joining me today. Becky, thank you for joining me. How's it going tonight? All right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here virtually.
My pleasure, man. Nothing like a Zoom chat room to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like Excel spreadsheets but today.
And that could be the whole 40 minutes just going back and forth. We'd be teaching each other formulas all
Dropping it like it's hot.
Indeed. Um, I'll never forget. This is not going to be actually the point of what we're talking about, but I remember I had to plan this trip, and it had like hotel rooms, and we're talking like 60 rooms, and I had to like keep tabs of how many rooms, and so you basically heard me going 1 arrow down, 2 arrow down, and finally my supervisor comes over, and he's like, "Tell me you're not like putting each number in individually." And like literally like 22-year-old Tom is just like, "Well, yeah." And he's like, "Let me show you something." I'd like to think it all kind of started there,
Your love and affection of Excel spreadsheets. That's the genesis for you.
It is a magical program. That like what's cool is like I feel like you never learn everything about it. You know what I'm saying? There's always something new to learn. I can't say that about everything in life, you know? It's pretty magical for what it is.
Yeah, I guess. You're making me want to see the magical qualities in it, but I can't say that I do.
So as soon as they allowed you to like open 2 at a time so you can copy and paste from one to another.
Uh-huh.
That
Eye-opening.
Anyway, I swear we live interesting lives outside of Microsoft Suite. Becky and I go way back, and we go back to high school. But in many ways, the way we got to know each other was through playing basketball in various pickup games throughout the community and amongst friends, and amongst strangers too. Baby boy, and
Baby boy.
yeah. Oh Lord, here we go. Drink every time I say boy. That'll be the game for the rest of the podcast. Boy, oh boy. But I'm happy to say that Becky's and my friendship started on the basketball courts, but also we picked up a lot of great memories along the way. And Becky, I guess in that sense, I want to start at the beginning because my basketball career wasn't a career. Mine is just like, hey, for a guy with an afro and a Jimi Hendrix shirt, like, pretty damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Tom Afro in a nutshell, but there's nothing to
I
it.
think you're selling yourself short.
I have my moments. I can play. But anyway, what I want to hear about kind
You
of.
can play.
I want to hear about kind of your growth into the game. Like, what got you started? Kind of, I know you played in school a little bit. Can you kind of, as much as I'm throwing like a lot at you, it's a heavy one, but can you kind of talk, started in the game, what drew you to it, and kind of what you do with it throughout your life a little bit?
Yeah, so it was a cold winter. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think like you're a kid and your parents sign you up for different things and you kind of never know what you're going to like or what you're going to take to. And my dad desperately wanted his kids to be athletes. And so he introduced us to all kinds of sports. And I really took to basketball from like a young age. I want to say I was like 6 maybe when he started playing with me. And as soon as he realized like I loved the game, it was like a joy for him to come out on the driveway with me and like just on the pavement at night after school. Like I swear, I wish we could have videotaped some of it because some of those sessions were like, you would have thought we were training for the Olympics. But it was, it was a lot of fun, and that's kind of the origin story of it. But and then all throughout high school and you know, playing in college. And honestly, my favorite days were us, you know, over the summer playing in college. Those were like the funnest days ever, I thought.
Weren't those cool, man? I mean, I don't know, man. It just, I love that, like, you get to college and there are some non-constructive things that you can get into. And we'll kind of leave it at that. But what I love is we were, you know, 18, 19 years old, in many ways, not the prime of our lives. I don't believe that anymore, but certainly a lot of, you know, our lives were ripe with opportunities for plenty of things. And we're playing basketball all day and like until like the darkness forced us to fold it up. And I mean,
yeah.
You're right about that, man. That was
They were really special days. They were truly special. Like when I look back, that was like the most fun I ever had playing, and I've played a long time. And those were like, I wish I could go back. I wish we could still do that. I wish in quarantine we could meet up at the court and like be playing right now.
Yep, and you just have like Sean Taylor in his sweatband, you know. Like,
the sweatband.
That's all I
Look
want.
like Ralph Macchio sweatband.
We didn't even necessarily have to play. Like as long as we're all dressed like it and Sean has a sweatband on, like I'm cool with it. You know. Like,
you guys had some fresh outfits. I can't even imagine what you would come up with these days. Damn. Oh my God.
We did do in college, one of my intramural basketball teams. We picked like one of the games of the season where we all did our mustache in a really, in hindsight, pretty creepy way. But we all kind of did like a mystery mustache, and we showed up looking all sorts of funky for the basketball game. But I think we lost, if I'm being honest. But
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It didn't at all, man. It didn't.
It was like the Parliament funk of like basketball games, I bet.
Yes, indeed it was. Oh, well done.
I love it.
As prolific as your basketball career was, my understanding is that it was almost derailed by one fateful play.
By one Rupak Sekhan? Is that who you're going to
say? Man. I wasn't going to call him out directly, but as long as you're opening Pandora's box, I'll go.
No, I'm calling him out. I call him out every time I see him.
It was heavy.
It was a crushing blow.
I kind of want to trade perspectives on this fateful play.
You want to retell?
I suppose I'll start. And you can tell that this is my perspective.
Yeah, please do. I love your perspective.
Man. You can tell it's my perspective because I'm definitely going to hype myself up. I'm going to gas myself up a little bit. But we're playing on Sorrento Court. We're playing in front of Wong's house with some of the best games in the world were ever played that nobody else will ever see, unfortunately. We're playing amongst friends, but we're playing hard. You know, people care. We're invested. And I'm taking the ball out, half-court game. I have the ball on the right wing, I believe. Make a little move to my right. Suddenly, I draw a defender to me, and I see Becky, who's on my team, flash to the lane. And first of all, I love that Becky knows to flash to the lane. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, let that be one of the story for any young players out there, you know, as I dribble my imaginary basketball. But
yeah.
But
a game away from the ball.
Becky makes this cut, and I hit Becky. I'm going to go ahead and gas myself up. I'm admitting.
Do.
But I hit Becky with this behind-the-back pass, and it's one of those passes where, like, as soon as I let it go, I'm just like, layup. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's it there. You know, like I've already seen it. Like I'm going back to the top of the key because you know it's winner's ball, you know?
You were looking at the highlight reel as it was like leaving your hands.
Yep, exactly. I pulled out some shades from my favorites real quick. No. No. It was a great pass. All right. But Becky.
It's an excellent pass. To this day.
One, Rupak Saquon, who I got a lot of love for, man. A lot of good memories with Rupak. He took me on a personal tour of Aruba when he was, gosh darn, in medical school there. He's a doctor of all things, which is going to sound counterintuitive when we get to the rest of this story. And Rupak is one of the only people I know who will intentionally foul to prevent a bucket in a really pretty friendly, as much as it's competitive. We're all friends. And he's the only one I know who will literally do whatever he asks you to prevent the basket. And lo and behold, he does that. Just gets swallowed up. For a moment, it's just a mass of humanity. And my memories of that is, one, darn, like that was a great pass, before I realized you're hurt, I'm like, okay, darn, that was a great pass. Like, what is he doing? That's a little aggressive. Two, Dan Grant, friend of the program, I hope. He keeps playing, even after you're like continuing to like stay on the ground for longer than it's safe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's still like chasing the ball down and literally has to be told, it's like, Dan, we're not playing. We're done right now.
The game is over.
And Becky is on the ground, reaching at said ankle. Rupak is making feeble attempts to apologize. And Becky, unfortunately, has hurt her ankle. Actually, more seriously than I first thought. Now, Becky, that's my perspective of the injury.
Mm-hmm.
You have anything to add? Was there anything in the scuffle with Rupak that kind of stayed out to your mind, other than like, holy crow, I might die here?
Honestly, I had two initial thoughts. The first one is a good foul. He stopped. It's a good foul, He prevented a layup. I respect that. And he did it a little dirty. But you know what? I respect it. And the second thing I thought was, holy smokes, my dad is going to be so mad at me.
Oh, man.
Because anytime I played pickup and like had like summer camp or travel league or something, like some other commitment, without fail, I sprained my ankle, like doing the dumb thing I wasn't supposed to do.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh God, I have to go home now. First, I had to finish this game because I think we had like 2 more baskets.
Right.
There were like 2 more plays after I got hurt. And then I was like, oh God, I got to drive home and talk to my old man and tell him I did it again. So, but your play-by-play is exactly how I remember it too.
No doubt. It's good to know that some things don't fade. That's how, how prominent that some things stick out. And just so, I don't know if we made it clear, like it was an ankle sprain, right? Like that was the end result?
There was an ankle sprain, yes. I think I had to do like 3 weeks of rehab or something. So, Rupak. I'm going to cash in on those 3 weeks soon.
Yeah, tell me about it. Who's moving? Now, you're already champ for finishing the game, let's be clear. But what I also remember is later on that night, we had
I think this is your favorite part. I actually think this is your favorite part of the story.
It really is. It's significant. And lo and behold, we're having like an after party at Wong's house, which is awesome. And, let's just be real. I'm 31 years old, and it's still true, man. If you could play basketball all day and then drink some beers with your friends at night, like, is there anything more that, like, life?
Great day. Great day.
I really don't think. Like, I think that's very much the reason why anyone sustains, like, grown-up employment is just to have, like, moments like that.
100%.
But we have this after party, and Becky is there, like a champ, and she's sitting on one folding chair, and she has her leg up on another. And what I love is she's sipping a beer, having a great time, but she can't move because her ankle really is kind of, bugged out at the time. And what I love about the party is people would just like kind of take shifts, like fueling at Becky and just be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then Becky would, like talk to him, and then it'd be like, "Oh, okay, like I'm gonna leave you now, Becky." Like there was no Becky was just kind of the center of the room kind of deal that like people. Oh man, it was just a splendid sight, and I just remember thinking to myself like, "Is she?" Yeah. I don't mean the question seriously, but it was like something that crossed my mind. I'm like, you gotta wonder if like she's here because she's thrilled with the party, or if just like her ankle's hurt and she can't move. Oh man, like
I did feel like a water cooler. Like I did make the party water cooler. Like everyone just sort of like would come by for a few minutes, have their chat, and then they were like, "Okay, see you later." And I was like, "Cool, good talk."
And
oh
then
my God.
there would
That
be
was
like
a fun day.
There would be like these lulls where Becky's just drinking there alone, and then like somebody else would walk over for like 15 minutes and then leave again. It was really
like,
very...
Don't leave me, don't leave me.
Oh, okay, cool, you're leaving. Yeah. Splendid stuff.
I was really just trying to keep an eye on Rupak so he knew I was going to come for him one day,
Exactly that. Man, oh man.
Yeah.
Like, thank God you didn't try to take his beer or anything like that. He'd foul you again.
He probably would have. So aggressive. I know. We had some good times on that court, though. Did Juan even play that day? I can't even remember.
I don't know. And that's what was cool.
I feel like we were just at his house and he wasn't there.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense, man. There was a lot of that. I went to visit Binghamton one time, and I found out years later that my friends all had a party on my deck. So, and I mean, I couldn't even be mad because, like, we've done that our whole lives. Like, who am I kidding? But
yeah.
From what I understand, and I wasn't there, but from what I understand, like, everybody brought like a lamp, so they were just walking down from Jay's house with like a bunch of lamps, so that they could light the deck for like whatever they wanted to do. Oh man!
Light it up! Oh my gosh!
Man. You can't party in the dark, that's for sure.
You can, but you can sprain your ankle.
Yeah, no, you do want to be careful.
You gotta be careful.
How's the lighting where you're at? Okay.
Lighting is good. I don't think I'll fall down. I am clumsy, but I should be okay.
All
Jesus.
Right. Good. I believe. No, but Becky, man, I mean, that's not the best story to illustrate kind of your game, but there was always no fear in your game. It was always great to play with you. Man, it was cool. And I do remember, I think I alluded to it before, there was one time at Cedar Beach where we tried to get a group together, and Becky and I were the only ones who showed. And we wound up just playing like strangers, like as they walked up, and like
I remember that.
And we're like an unlikely looking twosome, you know what I'm saying? But I just remember running the whole court like that whole evening, and it's amazing. Man, it's amazing if you know the game, like what you can do. I really will never forget kind of that day of just like people being like, "Yeah, we'll take it," and we'll be like, "Oh, okay, you can try." Yeah.
We should have put money down. I don't know what was wrong with us.
I feel like the moment I do that, like I would just.
We would have lost.
No, I can't do it.
I know. Shake and bake, baby, though. We did good that night. I remember.
I do remember, there's not much of a follow-up to this story, but I do want to at least bring it up. This is going to be one of those, like, 3-second ones. But you remember there was one game where Becky was especially playing well, and the person guarding her was not someone who played all the time. And you know where I'm going? Yeah, okay. She knows where I'm going. And to his credit, this guy got a little better, but he wasn't the most experienced player.
Improved, yeah, an improved player.
And and Becky was cooking it, and it was a pleasure to watch. But the reason I bring it up is somebody like called out the guy who was at Becky's score and said like, "Hey man, like, be up," you know? And he's like, I got her," and like the ball's not even checked yet, and like Becky's like under the basket, you know? Like it really is one of those moments. And Leo Square says, and I quote, he's like, you have to look at her.
Oh my God.
And
that was
the whole game stopped for about 5 minutes just to like recover from like, you may be told that the first rule of defense is to have your hands up, but it's actually to locate your person you're guarding. Oh man, I'll never forget that for as long as I live. Oh boy.
I was in the way. Oh, I could like rip my gut laughing so hard at this. So funny.
No. Very special time. But anyway, man,
was
a lot of games. The only other court memory I wanted to bring up is one that you've been there for. So I'm going to go ahead and just float it out there. Were you there when the barbershop by Wong's walked through the woods to play us?
No, I was not there for that.
Okay, all right. I knew that was a ragtag bunch.
The way that you're describing it makes it sound like it was West Side Story and like the Sharks and the Jets were like going out pick up basketball.
It was so pleasant. I at this point I would tell the story, just not to leave you.
Please do, yeah.
It was so pleasant, but it was surreal. We're playing basketball, and the only one I could swear to be there is Wong and Sean Taylor, but it was a group, and suddenly a couple of people, and it's relevant to the story, a couple of Spanish people from a barbershop that was there at the time, they walk down and they say like, "Hey, can we play?" And we're like, "Sure, you know, why not? Like, let's play." Mm-hmm. And what I'll never forget is playing with these two people, and there was two at the time, and I swear to you, on a stack of Bibles, we were playing for 30 seconds. And I looked back over to like the corner where they came from, and there were like 10 people standing. And it was absolutely surreal. And it was like startling, like how quickly they just like materialized.
Yeah.
The reason it's a cool story is one, just like they saw a pickup game and wanted to join. Like that's always incredible.
Yes.
Especially on like a private residence like that. But two, one of my favorite Sean Taylor stories. We reach a point where enough people show up where it's just kind of like their crew against us. And they're speaking Spanish to each other because it's what, you know, they speak. I assume it's their primary language. And so they're like saying what they have to do. And I can't speak for everybody, but nobody really knows what they're saying, you know? And suddenly Sean Taylor says like, "All right, guys." And he's loud and clear as a bell. He's like, "Okay, what we're going to do is this, this, and this. And then when they do this, we're going to do that." And it's so cool because Sean rarely takes like that coaching role, you know what I'm saying? And so that in and of itself is just like, wow, you know?
Yeah, like listening to Gene Hackman. What?
Indeed.
Did he have you guys run the picket fence?
I was shooting I was getting it done. But it goes through this whole thing. And then the other team just goes like, "Okay, so when they do this, we're gonna do that." And like it was as though, and Sean is one of the brightest people in the world. He's got the best work ethic I've ever known of anybody. And Sean Taylor would be a role model for any person in the world. I want to, as much as that sounds like I'm dragging him, but Sean somehow, I guess, had it in his head that because they were speaking Spanish, they couldn't speak English. And so, like, it's like free and clear said, like, "Fear not, they can't understand." And they're the ones who are bilingual, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, Sean goes through this whole thing, and then he lets out what has become synonymous with some of the best memories of my life. He literally goes, "Damn it," you know? And I live to this day, they're rare now, you know, because we've matured quite a bit. But I live for the Sean Taylor damn it to this day. And I'll never forget that story as long as I live.
I'm gonna have to work it in next time I see him. I'm gonna have to give a little damn it to the conversation. Oh my God, that's priceless.
You can greet him in Spanish and just see where it goes, you know.
Hey, Señor Sean Taylor. ¿Cómo estás?
Indeed.
The Miller Place School District, ladies and gentlemen. Great education.
Are you fluent, Becky?
No.
Absolutely
not.
Oh, man. But like I said, Becky and I go back to far more than the basketball court. And Becky, I want you to take the lead on a story because I feel like
on a story.
I feel like my perception of this event is a little hazed in its own way. I promise that sounds worse than it was, but I definitely something that I want to hear your point of view on when I say but one name. And that name is Ric Flair.
Woo!
Yes, well done. Right off the bat, you nailed it. Take me through your first introduction to this name.
Yeah. You, sir, were my first introduction to this name, which I'm embarrassed to say. How many years ago was this? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2-3 years. It's been, yeah, probably only 2 years, actually. It's more recent than I care to admit, I think.
Yeah, it's a recent story. I wish we could say that we were like 8 years old and like when I first learned this and not at a bar in Patchogue over many beers learning who Ric Flair was. I actually don't remember the context. I just remember thinking, I'm never going to recover from this. I actually think that's when you first started calling me Buck as well. Is that possible?
It's probably, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. So that night crystallizes for me that I learned the Ric Flair woo, and I got the nickname, like it or not, of Buck, as in Uncle Buck.
There you go.
Yes. I don't know can you recount that story, like the specifics of it? Because other than being in Patchogue, I don't even remember which bar we were at. I don't remember the specifics of how this even came into conversation. You have it. You know it. You know.
I feel like I know parts of it. Like I said, it wasn't, I say hazy, not gone, you know? But my understanding, and bear in mind, like, a lot of this is alcohol fueled at this point. In a really pleasant way, but it's alcohol fueled.
Yes.
Jay and I have a memory where we were doing something athletically, and I did something well, and he just chopped me like in my chest, which is like a Ric Flair thing to do. And I think Jay and I were reflecting on that, and Becky basically said, I might be paraphrasing, but she's like, "Who's Ric Flair?" And Jay and I are both like, you know, who's Ric Flair? And like, we're not bugging out, but like, here's my mindset. It's not that I'm floored she doesn't know who Ric Flair is, but I immediately get like, I don't know what the hell goes on in my mind, because I'm literally just like, check this out, you know, like really, like it gets really, like, there's some real like machismo all of a sudden, and I'm like, check this out, and I'm like, and I just kind of say into the void, I'm just like, Ric Flair, you know, and suddenly you're like in the distance, somebody goes like, woo, and I'm just like, that's it, yeah.
That's the only explanation that you'll ever need, Becky. Literally, I think that was it. And I had to Google who Ric Flair was to actually understand who he in fact was.
Jay and I are like stepping over each other to kind of say like who Ric Flair was and what the woo is. And I'm again feeling the hell out of myself because I just like proved my like Ric Flair point, and then like the strangers are wooing back at me.
Yeah.
You know?
I've never seen your chest bump out so much in my lifetime. Your stance and posture suddenly got so tall. It was so funny.
Exactly. Well, that's because I was bracing for the chops that were coming from everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think you guys forget sometimes that I'm like wasn't a 12-year-old boy ever. So I don't know. So like I don't share this history with you. But like I'm like don't really know wrestlers. So I was like, I'm shocked that you're shocked that I don't know who Ric Flair is. Like,
And
why did you think
like,
I would know who this
like, oh, you know.
is? Like, why would I know this?
And
I know.
what I will never forget
Yeah.
is one, just Jay and I fumbling over each other to try and like explain who he is, and we're probably doing like an awful job. And secondly, like Becky's probably only like a quarter of the way interested in what we're saying. You know, like we're
Maybe less than that. It's like, guys, it's getting late. I gotta go.
But I just remember that whole exchange, and then I get home at like 3 in the morning, and I literally like tattoo your Facebook wall where I'm just like, you have to watch this, and I'm like, if you like that, you should watch this. And then if you like that, you should watch this. And I just remember, and they probably came in at like 3:01, 3:02, and 3:03. And they're just these like Facebook posts of just like Ric Flair promos and matches, and I'm just like, this is the chop, you know? And then I just wake up the next day and I'm just like, yeah, all that kind of happened, didn't it?
Yeah. You were loving it. You loved that happened. Oh my God.
I did, yeah, certainly. It's not every day you get followed up with the 3 a.m. Facebook follow up, you know, man.
Over Ric Flair.
I will say, one of the most awkward moments of my life. Oh man, there's a precursor to this moment. All right, we'll get back to it. We're gonna circle back. But
Okay.
One of the most awkward moments of my life was trying to tell that story to your brother when we were at your sister's graduation party. Oh man, all right. But let's start at your sister's graduation party because
I knew this was coming. I'm prepared for it.
That whole night for me was almost a traumatic affair. It was festooned with awkward moments that just made me feel absolutely terrible, like in the middle of really great times. So Becky is kind enough to invite me to her sister's graduation party, which is so cool. Becky, how old is your sister? Just to kind of give some context a little bit.
Yes, she's 20 now, and this was her high school graduation party, so this was 2 years ago.
Man, okay.
I know.
So I am at best 28 years old, all right? And Becky is kind enough to invite me to this graduation party. And I'm there and I know I'm at the right place and it sounds like the whole party is outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go walking up the driveway and I see like this mass of kids having a great time. Mm-hmm. And I don't see Becky and I can't be the 28-year-old like that just like mills about amongst the 18-year-olds that are celebrating their graduation. But I also can't be the guy who like stands too far away. You know what I'm saying? And so I am in the ultimate limbo between like I'm in the right place and I want people to know I'm here. But like internally, I'm just like, I could not be more out of place if I tried. And I've never texted and called somebody with more urgency in my life. And I've just texted Becky. I'm just like, I'm here, looking, you know, like I know that they started with just like, hey, I'm outside, and then secondly, it was just like, yeah, it seems like everyone's outside, and eventually they were just like, where are you? You know, like they like definitely escalated to just like pleasantries to just like, I need help, you know, like please.
I know.
Oh man! And finally, your sister emerges from the mass like an oasis in the desert, and she's literally like, I forget what she says, but like she's so like kind. She's just like, "Are you all right? Like, are you you know like why are you here?" Essentially, like she's trying to like see why I'm here without being upfront and say like, "Yo, dude, like you crazy
Like
as
who?
hell." And I'm just like, "Hey, uh, are you ready?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm just like, "I got you this card. I'm here for Becky though." Uh, and she's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm just like, if you can point me to where Becky is, I'll leave you all. I'll leave you all to do your thing." She's like, "Oh, okay, no problem." And finally, I get into the house, and I didn't know anyone was in the house. Probably should have checked in the house, but I didn't want to walk through the house. It was awful. But finally, I connect with Becky, and Becky says like, "Oh, were you waiting long?" And I'm just like, "No, like I'm good." And what immediately shatters that is, hand to God, no more than 10 minutes later, your mom walks by, and she's
Oh
like,
God.
and she says, I'm paraphrasing again, but she says like, "Yeah, Becky, your phone was really going off," and I'm just like, "Yeah, that was me."
The one person who ever calls me. It was you. All 20 calls were you.
You know what? If you told me, oh, it was definitely double digits. Rest assured, like we were reaching like desperate times.
I felt so bad because I had no idea that that was like your experience. And I literally, when I saw you the last, I don't know, like few weeks ago when you told me that story, I was like, I had no idea that you had such a traumatic like entrance to the party. You sounded completely traumatized.
Yeah, it was not the highlight, but hey, once we met up, it was cool. There were definitely some more people my age.
And I didn't know that you described the Ric Flair story to my brother.
Man, and then just when I thought I was out of the woods, Becky brings up the Ric Flair story, and we probably told it in a similar fashion to what we just did. But one, your brother seemed like he was not interested, like he was less than that quarter interested. But what was awkward about it was trying to explain to him where, and there's no way to do this, especially for your first time meeting someone. There's no way to explain that it's just like, Ric Flair is not a hero of mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because I was surprised that Becky didn't know who he was doesn't mean that he's, that like I'm the biggest, like it's not someone I emulate. And it was very kind of very awkward to kind of tell the story without like making Ric Flair look to be some kind of a hero, which he wasn't. And it was very uncomfortable trying to share that with your brother. And I don't
like the level of like the way you were trying to express that story was almost like, can you believe she didn't know who like Ruth Bader Ginsburg was? And except it was like Ric Flair.
Yeah, exactly.
But and he's like, yeah.
I know. Oh man, I have no doubt, and he's probably actually thinking so, but I have no doubt that he thinks I'm a clown of some kind.
No, he honestly, I think he was at like DEF CON 2 because there were so many underage kids drinking in our house. And he was like big brother mode for some reason for the first time ever. So he probably wasn't even like because he he actually loves Ric Flair. He might even have had like action figures with him on it. I don't know, as boys do.
Wow.
I'm sure he did. He was like totally into that stuff. But he was, I guarantee he was like, look at that little fucker over there drinking, like talking to my little sister, like he was like a second away from having a heart attack every second.
I know.
Oh my God.
Colorado's a hell of a trip, so he's probably feeling that too. All right. Well, I feel a lot better. I'm glad I brought this up.
I'm glad you did too. I feel like it was very cathartic. I felt very badly about it once I heard that it caused you so much stress entering a party at our house. But walking into like a group of 60, like 18-year-olds and younger seems like it could be potentially hazardous, especially if you're like the dude walking by and they don't know who you are. And it's like, why are you checking out 18-year-old girls? Like, got someplace to be, brother?
I was like, if I'm too far away, no one knows I'm here. And I look like I'm just leering at it. But if I'm too close, it looks like I'm trying to be a part of them, which I'm not. Oh, man. It was like, I was literally just like measuring the steps.
I'm glad you didn't have like candy in your van or anything weird like that.
Oh, no. No, knowing me, I probably had something bumping, but not candy, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, Becky, again, I'm so thrilled you came on. I kind of want to close the show.
Okay.
Because I know that you have kind of your own designs on a podcast.
Oh my God.
I kind of want to know where you're at. Do you have anything kind of in mind for like how you want to develop that going forward? Any chance we can get kind of the first step on how that's going?
Potentially. I think I listen to and consume a lot of podcasts, as everyone does, I think. And so I listen and I'm like, this sounds like the coolest show ever. Interview the smartest, dopest people and just have conversations, but then work that goes into it. But I think I don't know what I would cover, like coming up with like the topic of your podcast. Like you like to interview or tell stories, like what would be the design? I don't know. I'd have to think on it. But yeah, I think this is like a very cool medium and more people are probably going to try to get into it. So I'm excited you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. It just seems like a cool opportunity to chronicle these things. I've been wanting to kind of do something like this for a while. I used to blog. Now there's no time to blog.
Yeah, ain't got no time for that.
Baby boy. Oh, there's another one. I think that's if you're playing it.
They're contagious though. Like after I'm around you guys for a couple of hours, I'm like baby boy to everybody, and I'm like, I love this. I can't believe I don't talk like this all the time.
Exactly. I do have a dear friend from Scotland, and it's amazing how when I was doing my other job, you would spend like anywhere from like 7 to 12 days over in Europe or the UK with him, and he's so brilliant, and I owe him so much. My buddy Stuart, who probably will never listen to this, but it's amazing how you kind of pick up his language after a while. You're calling like elevators lifts, and you're just like, yeah, he's my good mate. You know what I'm saying? And
everything. Cheers, buddy.
No, it's amazing how it really doesn't take much once you get like the full immersion of anything, man. It's amazing how contagious all that kind of language.
It is.
Pretty fast.
I like it. I think you should try to like stick with it, and you should adopt those things, and they should become your own.
Yeah, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I think you should, baby boy.
I think the fact that I say like right on and far out is enough uniqueness for me.
That is very unique to you. Very unique to you.
But I'll certainly see what I can do about switching up some of my word choices going forward. Becky, I want to thank you so much for coming.
That'd be super exciting.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover before we sign off?
No, I mean, I'm just excited to be here. Excited we got to catch up, and I look forward to like the coming big things.
Ooh, look forward to what? You're cutting out a little bit. Boy, oh boy.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying I'm excited for you, and I can't wait to see what you do with this and all the exciting people you talk to other than me.
Well, you know what they say, number 4 is always the best,
Very true. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
we'll say these were like your garage days.
Yeah, right? Oh, boy. No, I don't think I'm destined for any of that. It's a lot easier to do the radio thing when you can cut away to a song, you know. But thank you for helping me kind of experiment with this a little bit. If nothing else, I'll have a cool little time capsule of speaking to.
I love it.
Thanks for coming on, Becky. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was the Chronicles. The search continues.